we have a little bit of time over here, so I thought I should open up for questions. And this is the man who lives in South Asia with our congressmen, so we have our next senator, and hopefully one day the next president of the United States. That's my prayer. And I'm sure Kathy will be very happy to see him. First, the vice president. So, and my wife and Congressman Van Halen have a shared heritage, which is Dutch. So I'm going to open up for questions, and Congressman will be here to answer it. So I will give you. Hamza, where's Emily? Can you take this one if anybody has questions? So, anybody have a question for Congressman?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Where's Hadia? Ask the question. Come on. Question. Yeah. Anybody has any questions? Please stand up. Yeah. Please and identify yourself.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for Frank and Debbie. I'm really honored to be over here. My name is Mustafa Tansur. I'm the president of Independent Industrialist Businessmen Association of the United States, actually founded in Turkey in 1990, and I'm the president of the USA branch. My question is, I believe Trump is, from one perspective, he's already a winner because he already damaged the community. And what I've seen, the people, before they were not really telling their separated mentalities, or they are not really open speakly those discrimination or discriminated ideas. But since the Trump is using these words for the campaign and is give some power to others, they can speak up against our founding fathers' mentality, which is the main thing of diversity of this nation. My question is, doesn't matter he's going to win or not. I believe he's not going to be winner. But what do you think? How we are going to fix that leak he already made on this lesson?
Well, I think what I agree. I agree with a lot of what you said. It also underscores why it's so important that we as a community, and I mean as a community not just in Montgomery County and Maryland, but as a nation, stand up and drive a stake through the heart of that kind of political rhetoric and that effort to try to divide people based on religion. And I think that, I do believe that if we're successful at fighting back, and I think we will be, I'm very confident that at the end of the day, the sort of Trump philosophy and outrageousness will not prevail in this country. But it's all up to all of us to make sure that doesn't happen. But I do believe if we're successful at that, it will so discredit any kind of other kind of bigotry that we see, that in some way it will have succeeded in making it very clear that in American politics, people will not tolerate that kind of divisive rhetoric. It's going to be up to all of us to do that, because what Donald Trump is doing now is what others have done before, which is preying on people's fears, preying on people's insecurities, trying to say to people that if you're out of a job or you are unable to, put together a living that supports your family, that somehow it's somebody else's fault. And we've seen this in American politics before. We've seen this kind of ugliness raise its head. But I do believe that within the Republican Party, you are currently seeing a major battle going on. And it is really important that in that battle in the Republican Party, that Trump loses, and that in the battle for the presidential nomination and presidential election, obviously he loses. But I will say this, that if, and we will be successful at defeating Trump, what I hope is it will also help stamp out what has been a strain in the Tea Party of this kind of bigotry, not just targeted against Muslims, but racial bigotry and sort of dividing people on ethnicity. After all, you know, Frank, you know, the whole Trump phenomena began with attacking the president on the birther issue. I mean, this is a person who, you know, took aim a while ago and tried to discredit the President of the United States. And he's just morphing that into different themes here. So I agree with you that he's done a lot of damage. But the best way, I mean, the best way at the end of the day to reverse that damage and maybe even, you know, have a lasting lesson for the country is to defeat him and defeat him soundly. And, you know, I think with the help of people in this room and good-hearted people around the country, we'll be able to do that. And yes, the county executive.
Let me just add one other piece to this, because I have been extremely troubled by this. Not quite as much troubled by Donald Trump per se, because we've always had in our country demagogues and people who try to divide us. The thing that disturbs me is not as much Trump per se, but the receptivity to Trump. The fact that you can have a major party where the person now has received probably more votes than almost any Republican nominee in recent history, and that people will automatically make excuses and forgive a large part of what he said, where he can stand proudly in front of an audience and say, it doesn't matter what I do. I could stand on Fifth Avenue in New York and shoot somebody in the middle of the street, and people will accept and forgive me. That's true. It is not just a reflection of Trump, but it's also something that I think we need to listen very carefully to what the Congressman was saying about us as Americans, and how we need to make sure that once we've defeated him, we do a re-examination and uproot clearly and forever the kind of bigotry that we see in this country, because something is wrong when a person so clearly wrong about his ideas, wrong about his ideology, and wrong about his role and persona about American history and politics, can say and do the things that he has said and receive the kind of response that he received thus far.